Mao, and welcome back to another episode of Ignite Your Power, the Kathy Mao podcast. Today, I have a truly electrifying guest, Lady Madam Xia. She is a holistic wellness educator, actor, artist, MC, facilitator, spiritual advisor, and speaker who masterfully blends the power of archetypes, faith, and open-minded spirituality. She's all about deep conversations with a lighthearted vibe, using storytelling, humor, and performance to educate and inspire people. So in today's episode, we're diving into what ignited Lady Madam Xia's power, how she embraced her unique path, balanced with Christian beliefs with spiritual fluidity, and learned to use entertainment as a tool for transformation. We'll also explore the power of archetypes, the importance of staying open on your spiritual journey, and how humor can help us navigate life's toughest conversation. So, Lady Madam Xia is a force of nature, and I can't wait for you to hear her insights. So, get ready for our conversation. Hi, Lady Madam Xia.
Kathy, thank you so much for having me on your show. Oh my gosh, super excited. I have heard from multiple people how amazing you are. So thank you for your amazing following that you have.
Thank you for being here. I love your energy, and I'm all about this education with humor, and it's amazing. So I can't wait to tap in. So how has your journey been with being an actor artist and getting to become Lady Madam Xia? There has to be something for you to want to bring humor and education into learning.
Well, to be honest, the theater aspects, I loved it when I got to high school and was put on a roster as an official thespian. My drama teacher brought this fancy paper out and she says, I have enrolled you in the National Thespian Society. So, out of amusement and the tendency for people to not fully listen, I would introduce myself and say, by the way, I'm a thespian. Because most of the time they would assume whatever they would assume. I just said it.
Yeah.
I would just play. I just play with whatever it was that they thought they heard. But the theater started in my youth at family gatherings. As much as that sounds, I mean, it's pretty. I think that's where a lot of us start out, around our family and our friends. And I would walk around and ask people at like wedding receptions how they were doing and what their favorite parts were. And so there's part of it that feels kind of like a journalist. However, it was really, it was really fun. And in the years growing up, I would coordinate little acts with the nieces and nephews and the kids in the neighborhood. And I even have a dance background. I didn't list that because I'm not doing it professionally. I even choreographed. I've done coaching even for Little League. I've been in some local performances for theater related things, nothing national at this point. And it's just been fun. And that playful aspect, I take inspiration for the theatrics I bring from my inspirations being Elvira, Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I don't know how many people watched like BBC growing up, but I loved watching Dame Edna. And Dame Edna always did drag and had these wild glasses most of the time and some kind of crazy outfit that it was just always kind of loud. They hadn't even spoken yet and they were amusing me just walking in the room. So it's one of the reasons I have chose to lead with drag. I love the art behind drag and the entertainment around that. And I'm like, part of my education that I teach is to help people come out of their hard places. And those conversations are really difficult to have So why not lighten it up and make it a little bit more fun? And we can actually laugh. It's not fun to be like, grandma died. No, I'm not talking about being like psycho
Yeah.
around it. However, being able to look back and go, wow, I was a complete ass.
Yeah.
I clammed up for like months or years and didn't do these things for myself. What do I need to do to get out of that? So that's part of what the mindset, because I did this when I got into my grief. I really went in. It was hard on my marriage. It was hard with my family life. It was hard on my kids really helped me come out of it. That is a very personal share, I realize. And when I realized talking with other people how they, they didn't have the same like motivations as I did. And it's really sad is hearing when somebody feels that they're not worth healing, that they're giving up on themselves because they don't think their self is worth doing the work. And that breaks my heart. Do I think I'm going to save the world? Probably not the whole world. However, that is one of the big inspirations around this. And as you're actually a guest on one of my very first summits, right?
Yes,
So
that was so fun and amazing.
That was very fun.
That was so full of energy. So that was really cool.
Even when you were on there and we had talked a little bit about some of the things that people are not always aware of that they need to do for themselves to be in their self-care and the purpose behind it. So yes, the theater is a component that is meant to be kind of fun and lighthearted. And for the people that are inspired to go deeper with me, then these layers will get peeled back as we dive deeper into the different aspects of the 5 pillars of my business model.
Ooh, and what is the 5 different? Is it related to different archetypes of how you teach people about that and how it really actually shapes a person and their evolution of understanding your archetypes and actually knowing which one you're dealing with?
So for my holistic wellness education model, I have the 5 pillars based on spirituality. Mm-hmm. So spiritual, mental, physical, energetic, and financial. And I've had people say, oh, you should make more. I've had people tell me to have less. And when I sat down and really internalized what worked for my person to find harmony and balance, it's when those 5 things are, an awareness of them, first of all, because if you're not aware, you can't make a change, right? Yeah. If you're oblivious to something, you're not going to be able to make a shift because you're blind to whatever that is. And as far as the archetypes, that is on one of the deeper tracks that I do, because I designed my program the way I like to train. And it has really been a hard thing as a teacher, being a person that leads groups and facilitates. I find it really hard to teach across. I don't know what this is. How do I even do this? These people here are like, oh, I get that. And then this group is like, can we just move forward? Because I've already done A and B. Can we get to C? And I'm a person that has taught across different age levels through elementary to high school level, facilitated to adults. So I've taught a vast group of ages. And sometimes I've even been the teacher. Any of you that are teachers that can resonate with this, raise your hand. We know that you're really great at being able to adjust and pivot. We're going to give you second to high school for all of these kids that come in that need to be brought up to speed to move forward into their grade appropriate. We're going to have you teach all of these kids the baseline. Now, while that's not the most awful idea ever. It's still obnoxious because a 7-year-old's ability to retain and regurgitate information so that you know they have it is not the same as 10, 12, or 16.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
However, in college, you may have an 18 and a 40-year-old in the same class. Their speed at which they retain may be different. However, they can still be in the same cohort and function and move forward. So oddly enough, when you get to the adult education component, it really changes. So thank you for asking that. That's one of the reasons that as I design my program, it's the beginners start at the beginning. I make sure that everybody is on a baseline of comprehension before we move into the deeper things. And I struggled as I created this program because I'm like, oh, people should be able to pick what they want. And, you know, somebody might want to come in and just do spirituality for a couple of weeks, and then they may just want to do energetic, or they may just want to do this. And, you know, down the road, after I get more feedback, God bless you all, as you enroll, you help me improve and refine my program. Right now I have a massive offer that we can talk about later. And I struggled because until people know who you are, they're not willing to invest, right? I mean, I could say, hey, I have a $5,000 program. You'd be like, okay, good for you. Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So getting people to see the importance in their self, getting them to see that they're worth it. I'm not saying, oh, I learned this from this person and I'm teaching this model. I am sharing with you all of the aspects of myself that are broken. And yes, I lead with a persona because some of what I'm telling you and sharing is really, really hard. And so for me, coming from a theater background, stepping into some of these spaces and leading in an archetype helps me to be playful with it, because the me behind the makeup won't laugh about some of these things in her normal state. Some of you that have mental health background will have a lot of fun analyzing me. Get a little chuckle in there. No, but the point being is somebody was like, so do you just work with women? I just pulled my shirt off. Do you just work with women? Or I found myself surprisingly working with women more often than not. However, it really matters to me that I am serving people fully. So I have made an effort with my marketing and my success team as we're building out, getting people who are willing to be teachers in these different areas, because while I have an aptitude across the different pillars, my strength is in spirituality. I have a strength in physicality as well as energetics. I know some around mental health, but I am not a mental health specific practitioner. So I don't want to represent that I'm, seasoned in that. And it matters to me that people are able to be served fully. The things that I've developed in the curricula for the program, the data comes from people that are specialty in spirituality. That's why Christ being my center, my content isn't Christ-centric. My curriculum is based so that wherever somebody's at, even if they're agnostic and they don't, or atheist and they don't believe in anything, they can still find a connection point. I know what my truth is. You know what your truth is. I'm not converting you to my belief. What I'm converting is you from being at a point where your shit is overwhelming to a place that you can go, wow, I can't believe I waited so long to make this change for myself. That is the thing that really matters to me, is that people are seeing their transition from A to B. And I don't believe that what I've designed is for somebody that's very casual, which is another reason I don't have like an a la carte to my training. You're going to get spiritual guidance. You're going to get mental health guidance. You're going to get physical fitness and physical related wellness guidance and financial guidance. I have people in different areas, and also where I live and my business is based out of. Exalt Thy Spirit is the business that I represent in my state. I cannot speak on different aspects of things without having a specific credentialing. So I bring a level of ethics and integrity to what I'm doing. So it matters to me that people are actually getting quality. And as we had talked on another conversation too, is being able to bring in people so their gifts are able to shine. And that when people are working with my people, right, that you're like, I love you, Lady Madam Xia, and I'm part of your tribe, knowing that Lady Madam Xia and the team that Lady Madam Xia is part of are actually invested completely in your well-being and your benefit, that you're being looked out for, listened to, and fully guided without micromanagement, because it really matters to me that people have the space to breathe, to marinade. I've used that word a lot. You're going to hear me saying I marinade on that. I also love cooking. That's even a component of some of the advanced training as well, is I can tell you to eat something. For me, I'm a hands-on learner. So when I get to the level of, I got enough people on enrolled, we'll be talking about having a physical retreat. My goal is to be able to do those internationally, but first success in national within this country.
How do you bring humor into all of your trainings and your teachings? Because that's such a different way in approaching coaching and helping others. Because, like you said, it's hard to talk about serious questions, but you make it fun, which is so different. And I want people to know how you do that and bring Lady Madam Xia into all of this.
Well, I mean, some of you might. Are you sending this out as a video, or is this just audio?
No, it's both.
It's both. Okay, because I was going to say, if they're just hearing my voice, I don't know how much that carries. But I mean, I was just sitting here, and I don't know about you, but I think I look a little funny.
No, I love this look. I love it so much.
But I'm saying, without knowing me, you're like, is that your normal? And I'm just going to say, I love you, darling. This is Lady Madam Xia's normal. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, behind the scenes, no, I take the wig off. All this makeup comes off. I don't have face tattoos. Love you, Post Malone. Anyway. Free Post Malone plug there. Anyway, figuratively. Anyway, point being, I love the power of laughter. I have numerous comedic inspirations. I actually wept so hard the night I heard that Robin Williams died. I had hoped that by the time my exposure with, acting and I actually really let go of that. And in my phase of my life, I really did let go of that. And I thought, well, you weren't focusing on that goal so intently that happened. So with integrating the theatrics and the humor with this, the humor inspiration that I got growing up from Robin Williams impacted me so much. I felt there was such a, not personal, I mean, yes, I'm sad, but my massive grief and weeping that came over me. I didn't even eat my dinner properly that night. My husband says, F-bomb warning, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. I said, you have no idea. I said, I actually had a goal to have a concert at Carnegie Hall and invite him to give him a personal thank you when I got to that level of performance. And that is off the table now. And I know from the level of fandom I had in following him, he had a lot of things he had to work on as a human being. So I knew I had no business judging his choice for living or not living. I also didn't know him intimately enough to be able to support his family or anybody. So the way that I felt I was able to do that was through prayer and through intention. And I don't know how to say this without, I'm weird, I'm kooky, I have nuances about me I was told for much of my life to not speak about, and 0F's given at this point. It's another reason I embrace and encourage others to embrace the authenticity of who they are. And I had somebody say, "You're coming in a persona, how is that authentic?" I said, because you are getting to have a playful version. Because I feel like without Xia, if it was just me, it would be really heavy and really intense and really hard. Now, is that a personal critique? Yes. Is it necessarily true? No. That is how I feel. So this is part of the reason that the persona leads. My love of what Robin Williams brought to the world through comic relief, helping to alleviate the ridiculous homeless program that proliferated New York in the 80s, inspired me to want to move into humanitarian efforts with my success and with my finance as an adult. And the collaboration he did with Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg. I watched The View the other day, and Whoopi has been a huge influence. Same with Billy Crystal. His character, "Darling, you look marvelous." God, I used to love it when Billy would come out and do that. And then when Whoopi would do her little, her different characters and her accents and stuff, I would just laugh so much. And those are hard topics. Talking about homelessness, and while the joke around "darling, you look marvelous," you know that they're full of crap. It is complete flattery. It is no truth to what he's saying whatsoever, but it's also making a mockery of how attached we are to our vanity and how we look.
True.
And that's another reason that I utilize the archetype and utilize drag and utilize dressing up, because there's going to be a day that comes that I may not care to do this at all.
Yeah.
And embracing it now, entertaining, making it playful, making it fun. And the laughter matters, because comedy has a way of making the hardest things able to be talked about in a room that otherwise they won't.
True. That's so true, because comedians will take certain things about a person or a race or something, and you're right, like they'll say something and you're like, okay, that's so true, and then you laugh about it.
Well, it's like I have different personas.
Yeah.
I don't just have Lady Madam Xia. I've got many others. My kids and some of the other people around me are like, "Don't do that." And other people are like, "Oh my God, you totally can do that." What I'm working on is that I absolutely love diversity. Now, if you don't know me and you haven't listened to an interview and you haven't gotten to know me, like my kids say, "Mom, to the world, you're just going to look racist."
Yeah.
Now, as a person that's in the realm of podcasting and doing videography as well, do we have any control over how we're received, even with the best of intentions?
No.
I gotta adjust. I just realized my camera.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, you just gotta do your own thing.
I look like a toddler all of a sudden.
This is part of the entertainment. The
Yeah, I
different
kept
sides
leaning
of
and I'm
Lady
like, my
Madam Xia.
camera would adjust. Anyway, moving with the comedy, I'm able to tap into some of the hard things because some of the healing is around trauma. You
Yeah.
know, you've had abuse, rape or, massive loss. These are not easy things to work through.
Yeah.
And there are things that I've had to heal from. Now, people might go, well, yeah, your parents died, whatever. I was extremely close to mine.
Yeah.
I am an adopted person. So I had a level of gratitude to my parents that I felt was very different from my peers growing up, especially when I'd hear my friends say, oh, my parents freaking suck. And I was like, well, your mom could have had an abortion. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe say thank you because she chose life for you. And somebody might go, well, that wasn't legal at this time or that time. Excuse me, honey, women find a way.
Yeah.
Just like life finds a way, you find a way to get what you want in life. And um, there's people in my spiritual aspect that I've helped with healing around their choice to have abortion. And it's part of the reason that spirituality is the bigger, for me, the bigger. And to also borrow from the wisdom of the chakra system, your crown chakra, it starts
Yeah.
here and goes down
Yeah.
to root chakra. And so for me, that's another system. I utilize Eastern philosophy, the five elements of traditional Chinese with water, fire, wood, metal, and earth. And for me, when I'm like, I offer something called a pathway plan that's a one-on-one consult with someone to really get clarity, get a pathway cleared for them and set a plan of action so that they know what they need to do moving forward. And that's one of the things that I like to initiate with so that they know if the vitality blueprint is going to fit for them, because I know that there's some people out there, they're just so quick to be like, you're going to get in my program, I'm going to take your money. That annoys the hell out of me. I actually didn't step into offering this academy or training for years because I just kept seeing so many yucky people.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
gross. They're just taking money and then they'll say, oh yeah, we're going to have these experts or we're going to have these. And they never bring, or you hear from people that they didn't ever bring anybody in. I had a huge red flag. I had this training that I went to. I'm purposely not saying the name because I don't want to bring any negativity to the person, but they taught me something massive. I went to their workshop. They were going to teach you how to publish a book because I seriously have a ridiculous amount of notebooks
Yeah.
full of stories and things because I've created a lot of things, but I thought, oh, I don't have a degree. I shouldn't put that out there. There's part of the struggle with imposter syndrome, big time, overcoming that and then saying, yes, I'm worthy of getting published and looking into how do I create an ebook or how do I get my stuff out there, which is a huge goal for this year. Is to actually get some of my work published, and this enrollment with the school. Your funds will help expedite my publication. So with the realizing that so many people are doing these workshops, I was like, how many books have they had?
Yeah, none probably. Or maybe some. I don't know. Okay, one.
They had one
Wow.
bestseller.
Oh, wow.
They had done 3 books. Now, I did my homework. I didn't say anything about my homework. By the second day, I still showed up. I paid for the class. It was a couple day seminar. And then I started asking questions when people would, send messages. I'm like, what do you know about, the book? And they were like, oh, they're a best-selling author and I'm here. And it made me realize how my resistance to coming out was I don't have a doctorate. I don't have a master's. People aren't looking at even the credentials of the, now, not saying all of you are ignoring them. Do not hear that, because I know there's assholes like me that are like, what makes you credible? It was one of the things that made me a hard student in school. Did you deal with the teachers that were like, you will respect me, but they did nothing to make that seem like a fair thing? It was totally a power thing. Did you get those too, Kathy?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think everybody had those teachers. Everyone.
And I'm just like, yuck, ew, lead yourself. You figure that out, then come lead me. And I've had kids, I still work in a school district, purposefully not saying where for safety's sake, because I work with children.
Yeah.
And I think it's the biggest compliment when a child says, why aren't you a regular teacher? I'm just like, I can't promote my business to kids, because that's not ethical. And I'm sitting there going, I have an online academy. Currently it's for adults, but you're inspiring me to do a kids one. No, seriously. And I'm just like, oh. And then when the teachers come and they're like, how did you do this or that? And I'm sitting there going, because I have like how many decades of teaching? But I didn't credit it with anything. And even being given this is what's expected for each of these grades. Now create your curriculum around these expectations. And I hadn't given myself credit for the fact that I got an outline of expectations and created course curriculum from kindergarten through high school so that I could educate my volunteer teachers. Wow. And then make sure that my volunteer teachers had proper leadership training so they would be able to facilitate to these students in a meaningful way. And if they couldn't go to the conference that was offered, I then would do workshops with them to educate them on the things that they missed so that they could be proficient. That's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of leadership that I have. So when we had talked and I was like, Kathy, I need to know what you're doing because I want you on my team because you do amazing stuff. And the feedback I got from the people we know in common, I'm purposefully out of confidentiality, not naming names, just the amount of benefit they got from the care and the love that you bring. And I'm sitting here going, I have been a fool in that I have not been good about asking people for testimonial. And I realize now, sitting here to talk to you, that is an imperative part. So I'm going to ask any of you that are listening to this podcast that come on, that give I'm going to have to hold myself to this. This is hard.
Got this. We got
you
this.
Go through the program and you give a testimonial. I am going to give you a free, oh my gosh, this is so big because people are going to be paying for this. I am going to give you a free workshop.
Wow.
PBA, I'm saying that because you're not running this right now while I have different classes available right now. This is going to be running at a different phase. So I am going to hold myself to that. We will specify, Kathy, you and I will specify in an email to you once you go to the Vitality Blueprint and do your checkout and you've finished the program and do your testimonial, you will then get your free workshop voucher for that. Is that generous? Is that okay?
Yeah, that is so generous. Thank you. I was not even expecting that. Like, what?
No, I'm sitting here going, I haven't gotten I've heard testimonials from people from you in person, even not just reading them, but people telling me what a great leader you are, how they improve their nutrition and their energy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't from a professional standpoint, it's like, well, duh. But at the same time, it's like, I am even in my active growth as a leader, as an entrepreneur. It's just like are you a mom? You're a mom?
Yes, I am. Of a 2.5-year-old.
2.5. Okay. I have 18, 16, and 13 currently at the time of this recording. They will age, God willing. Who knows how old they'll be by the time any of you hear this. Anyway, point being this. And I will say that this offer that I just gave will be for the year that this is recorded for 2025. because if somebody listens to this 6 years down the road, I don't know what will be offered then. So I'm going to say it's going to be good for 2025. I will honor this until December 2025. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's
Is
fair.
that good? Okay.
Yeah.
CYA, and I'll make sure to get that in print.
That's amazing. Thank you for that offer. And
But even with my kids,
yeah.
not each one of them is exactly the same. Not each one of them, you know, my constant joke, and you'll hear this even when I do the mother the stuff. What came out after you was a placenta, not a manual. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no book that said, oh, by the way, they're going to prefer this kind of milk. And by the way, they're going to have an intolerance to this. And they're going to like it best if you hug them before they go to bed, but don't touch their hair before school.
Oh my gosh. I know, right? Motherhood is a journey. But if you could leave listeners with one powerful message about embracing their own unique path and personal power, what would it be?
Fearlessly embracing your authentic self.
Oh,
I
love that.
sat myself on the sidelines, wallflower, and that's a great book. What is it? Benefits of Being a Wallflower. It's even a movie. Great, great book and excellent movie. I love the cast. They reminded me of parts of my youth, and it touched their portrayal in that touched on so many parts of my journey. And why am I bringing that up? I don't know what will or won't resonate with you. Just because that book and movie resonated for me and I felt connection points. I mean, I felt like parts of it, I was like, did this dude like secretly read my journals?
Oh my gosh.
That's how deeply it resonated with my person. So I didn't have exactly, the scenarios of the people and the characters portrayed in the book and the movie. However, for myself, even though things weren't exactly the same, there were still those emotional connection points that made it matter. And why I'm bringing that up is because just like in that, the kid wanted to stay kind of back and thought he wasn't worth it. And, as a person, not to end on a really hard note, but this really matters to me. I attempted to end my life as a teen. I had a very holy moment, which is why, despite my belief system, I haven't kicked Christ to the curb, because I believe Jesus is the reason for the season. No, Jesus is actually miraculous intersection is why my person is still here. And I'm glad that I didn't. Later, I still had things that were not resolved. And in my 18-year-old self was wanting to have a hysterectomy because of being adopted, not knowing aspects of myself, angry about things, tomboy, didn't really know how to be a girl, a lot of gender things. And even when I've talked to people about myself, they're like, yeah, I don't think you're, because I was like, I don't want to try to be cool, but I don't mind dressing up like a boy. And then sometimes I feel just as important. Xia hasn't done that yet, just to be clear so far. Xia hasn't done that yet. That's another persona, though, that I have when I go into male character. And why I bring that up is because I'm a mom. If I had embraced some parts of that or got on some of the mindset that proliferates now, learning that you're okay with yourself however you are. And if you're feeling queer, honey, I'm queer every day. My husband, I don't think thinks I'm queer. My children, I'm pretty sure, like, Mom, just be careful how you use that. By the definition of queer, yes. By the social meaning, no.
That's amazing.
So that's what I'm going to end on, is just loving you. You are enough. You are good enough. This day today might suck. And I'm going to borrow from famous old ass Greeks. This too shall pass. Or wait. Gandalf, you shall not pass. That's what you're going to tell that nasty emotion.
Yes,
You shall not pass.
yeah.
So, yeah, embrace yourself, love yourself. It doesn't mean everybody else is going to love you. I would love it if you love me back, but I get it if you don't. I get it if you
No,
don't.
you
What
really
is it? Not everybody's cup of tea because I'm champagne, darling.
Yes, it's true, but I love how you're just authentically you and you're just so loving and playful fun. It's so beautiful to watch you. This episode would be great if you watched it on YouTube. But if you're listening, you don't get to see all of like, your personality and your look. So, but thank you so much for today's conversation. Last but not
Thank
least,
you.
where can the listeners connect with you and find more about you?
So the easiest place currently is tiredofbeingtiredseries.com. And I will spell that because that was a new entrepreneurial mistake of creating a website that's a fucking sentence.
Yeah.
Sorry for you, loves. It's TIRED of being BEING tired 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 of being tired series SERIES.com tired of being tired series.com. Now I don't know by the time this comes out if my Exalt Thy Spirit webpage will be up. On socials, I absolutely need my numbers to grow so that I can do lives. This is my selfless plug to please help grow my audience reach so that I can do lives on the Lady Madam Xia fan page on Facebook. You can also go to Exalt Thy Spirits page on Facebook for all things related to my academy and my school and what's going on. And I also have IG with that one is Exalt Thy Spirit, Lady Madam Xia. And I have TikTok, Lady Madam Xia, that is yet to launch. It hasn't launched yet because I've been on the fence watching the permissions, yes and no, back and forth with that. And with that, again, your numbers matter. Your numbers matter. I need followers. You want to follow me? You'll be my precious.
Amazing. I'll put all of those links also in the show notes below. So
I'll send them to you so you don't have so much trouble. But the Vitality Blueprint is a really great way for people. I have a QR code for my pathway plan. I can send you that as well.
Anything
that's really quick. People can grab that and zip over to that. But the pathway plan is a very simple call. They can pop on and have a conversation with me to get a vision. Yes, it is a fee. The Vitality Blueprint is the actual, like, I'm ready to like make a commitment and jump in. And I'm huge at journaling. I'm a big person that processes their thoughts. And so for me, that was the thing that really set me moving forward. So thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
The pathway plan, they get a free PDF for doing the pathway plan with me to give them something to help them get going. And I cried because I had completed a 20-something day, 21. It was a 21-day journal. And I went to open it and the thing hadn't saved. I reached out to Canva and I'm like, help me. Those people are amazing. I don't know if they can save everybody. So I just want to be transparent there. But this free PDF that I'm giving for those that sign up for the pathway plan, oh my gosh, it like scared the daylights out of me. They sent an email and they found it.
Amazing.
Because it wasn't in my trash and you don't do the Control-C to try to bring something back. None of that was working. I was so freaked out. They were able to save it and find it. So I'm giving them a free plug because they just, I'm like, I am saying something nice about these people as much as I can because they help me so much.
Thank you so much, Lady Madam Xia. I'm
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.